Thank you, everybody who is able to tune in. I am going to make sure that I'm sharing this on my personal page. So I'm doing okay. I am Mermaid Chè Monique, and I am coming to you kind of casually. I put it out there on my page, like, should I do a Pride Mermaid panel, Merfolk panel? And a bunch of people were like, yeah. So I was like, let's do it. And so I have brought together a few of my friends. I'm not a great multitasker, so you won't see me looking down a lot throughout this thing. So let me just share this event, and then I will do a better introduction job. But this is also me running my mouth so that people can get on the live, because it's always awkward when you get to the beginning of a live and nobody's on. I can't work my phone because that multitasking thing we were just talking about. Here we go. I'm finding this live. Look at me. I'm live right now. Sharing. Bam. All right. So my personal friends can see this. All right. So I'm super jazzed. Everybody was like, yeah, have a Pride panel. Let's do it. Hi, Justine. And so we are doing it. I just asked a couple friends kind of last minute who's available, and my dear friend Colleen is available. Say hello, Colleen.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing today? Welcome to our
Yeah. Ooh, Finn is here. Hello. And Merman Christian is available.
Hello, everyone. Happy Pride Month and every day.
Right. And Nymphia the Nautililus Mermaid will be joining us shortly. And I thought the Blick Tsunami was going to join us, and I think he is still enjoying the Afro Mermaid convention. Oh, Amber's here. Hi, Amber. Christian, you were just there. How was that?
Oh, it was incredible. It was definitely a very different take on a mermaid gathering, and there was some spirituality involved, and it just really kind of bringing everybody together and just kind of connecting with one another, and also shedding light on how we're all connected to the ocean, and just basically how also it's like we've kind of lost our connection a little bit along the way over the years. So it was really just getting back in touch with that. And so that was one of the really great aspects that I loved about it. And just getting together and, of course, seeing everybody's tales and, everybody complimenting each other. I mean, not just on their tales, but just, how just the love that was all there. Everybody was just so many hugs, and it was all outdoor event, and right on the beach for some of it, and just seeing that love being restored, especially after the year that the whole world has had. And I definitely think it helped make everybody, you never really know what you have until it's been just taken away from you unexpectedly. So, and we definitely made up for everything of the past year. It was fantastic. I can't wait till next year. And yeah, I hope you guys can make it.
I definitely intend to be there next year. All right, let's do our official introductions. I am going to start. So just, who we are, our pronouns, why we're here. I basically said that. So hello. You must know me because I'm hosting this thing, but maybe you're watching the YouTube replay and you don't. I am Chè Monique, also known as Mermaid Chè Monique. My pronouns are she, her. I fit somewhere in the bi, queer, pan spectrum that's always evolving. But I feel like Washington, DC's queer community kind of raised me. That's where I spent most of my young adulthood. Pride is definitely one of my favorite seasons of the year. I think it's like Pride. It's Halloween, Pride, Christmas for me. And
those are the high holidays.
Yeah, they are. And I'm still kind of staying in for the most part. So I didn't go out to any of the festivities. But like I said, I kind of just mentioned on my page, should I have a Pride panel, a Pride Merfolk panel? And a bunch of people said yes. And so I was like, well, let's see who is available to hang out. Personally, because I am married to a cis man, like my queerness is pretty invisible unless I go, hi guys, I'm gay too. And there are times when I feel like that is beneficial, mostly just in contexts where I feel like me saying that gives space for someone else. And so, like, for example, in my interview with Fins magazine, you know, like I put that out there just because I just wanted to put in print, I'm queer, because who knows who's going to read that. And so that's where I kind of sit, but I try to not like take up too much space, as it were, because there are things that now that I'm partnered with a cis man that I don't have to experience or worry about.
I may understand this exact situation.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
So, hi everyone. My name is Colleen McCartney. I go by she, her, they, them. Like, just don't call me late for dinner, y'all. Just as long as I'm fed. I am a intersex woman, which is pretty rad, and I am also married to a cis man. So, you know, unless I am sitting here explaining to you my how my body functions, then yeah. But I'm also growing up, I thought I was bi, but then realizing, oh, I don't really care what bits are. I just like people. So, oh, that's pan. So it's this whole like, wait, well, oh, there's so many different definitions, and even being in the queer community, right? Like, it's just keeping track of all the new growing nomenclatures. It's pretty amazing to see just so many people being able to find identity and finding space. It's pretty cool.
All right. Christian, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Merman Christian, and I identify as he, him, and I also identify as a gay male. Maybe a little touch of bi in there as well. I know that's kind of more how as I was younger, I kind of was in that area, and then I eventually migrated over to just, I identify as gay. So, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
It's always interesting. Like, it's all such a spectrum, right? And I mean, that's definitely being, especially working in the intersex community, right? Like, just learning how much of absolutely everything is just a spectrum. So it's pretty rad.
Yes.
Also,
Awesome.
I love your makeup, Nymphia. It's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I was kind of like rushing to get it on before I came on here.
Well, it looks great.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, are you on your phone?
Yeah.
Can I ask you to give us the little landscape rotation?
Let's see.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you. And please introduce yourself.
All right. Hold on, just adjusting a teeny bit. There we go.
Absolutely.
Hello. So I go by Nymphia the Nautililus Mermaid, and I am a trans professional mermaid based in kind of Oakland, San Francisco area. I've been a bit of a speaker in terms of like just being a trans mermaid, and I've talked within like the California Mermaid Convention, and I don't know, it's been a really fun journey, and just getting to kind of live my mermaid life to the fullest has always been a lot of fun for me. So yeah, here I am.
Awesome. I'm so happy you could join us.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on.
Cool. We'll go counterclockwise now, so we'll stay on you. I'm going to ask everybody, what is your favorite gender neutral mer word?
Well, that's an easy one for me.
Yeah, me too.
Ooh, gosh, like I feel like there's so many out there. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Merfolk tends to be like my go-to. I don't know why. It's just kind of it feels like for me it's kind of like the default.
Yeah.
But I know quite a few people have come up with some really clever ones, and I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
Okay.
Well, what I like about Merfolk is that like you could be talking about a singular person, or you could be talking about a group of people, which is just I'm a particular fan.
What about you, Christian?
I agree that was actually going to be my word as well, and I actually caught myself saying it this weekend at the summit to some of the hotel guests, because they asked, they yanked me aside and asked me, oh, what's this, what is this whole thing, and I was explaining it to them, and instead of using the terms mermaid or merman, I said, we're all just many different fish in the sea, so we all identify as merfolk.
That's awesome. I also default to merfolk. Colleen's a bit of my mer mama, so that is kind of a natural thing. But I love Merson and Cookie, the Harlem mermaid, says Merson. Yes, and I don't use it, but every time I see it, it makes me smile. And then Finn is no, that's their non-binary word, is Mernem, but that's specific to non-binary merfolk. But yeah, I tend to default to merfolk, but also every time I see Merson, I like, and then I say MERS a lot. Like maybe it's just like a lazy thing. It's like, all the MERS are going to get together. It's like, let's just abbreviate it and make it gender neutral all at the same time. It's awesome.
Yeah, if I'm texting, there's definitely more likelihood that'll be like the MERS or some sort of shortened version like that for sure.
Once in a while, I'll throw in there mer peeps. So I guess it's a Baltimore thing.
And of course, fishes is always
I love walking into a chat and just like, what's up, fishes? Like, it's just one of my favorite things. Just like, it's fun. It's fun.
Okay, fishes, what does pride mean to you?
Oh my gosh, pride's intense. Like, pride's amazing and can be a little overwhelming, but it's really allows to be able to be proud of oneself, and honestly gives me another reason to leverage my online platform to be able to speak about different issues, right? Because especially, within the intersex community, some of the issues can be a little heavy, so it's a little hard to have those conversations. So I try to always like make it as light as possible, because it just makes people, oh, okay. So it's just nice to have another moment where it's like everyone's really paying attention and you really have a unique opportunity to be able to have some awesome conversations and education going on.
I am also digging like some of the comments. Someone commented that pride to them is liberation and love. And that's just so powerful. Ooh, revolution. That's, yeah. And it's weird, right? Because like I get excited about pride in the, like, woo, happy pride, like kind of gay Christmas vibe, but like that revolution element is so important. And I also, again, like came up in DC, and DC is just a very queer city. It's a very like safe place to be queer. DC is one of those cities where like, depending on what you're doing politically, and I don't mean like national politics, but like local politics, like it may actually advantage you to be, like queer. And so like, I don't think about like, I haven't had the experience of like, being in a space where like, it's generally safer for people to be closeted. And so, and my first, brush of pride is like party, parade, friends, whatever. Yeah. But like, it really is kind of that like, whoa, we can do that now. And it's, I don't know, interesting where we are historically, where it's almost like that like revolution side is almost trying to be like erased, but it's still so important. Any thoughts? Anybody want to chime in?
No, I completely agree. I just get this feeling around, the beginning of May. It's like May, mid-May. And, that's when I look at the calendar. I'm like, oh, man, it is going to get lit next month because it is Pride Month. It is our month. I mean, like what Colleen said, yeah, it's definitely, that party month. Because, it is a liberation. It's, this is, and what you were saying, Shay, about, just how far we've come now. And in society with just acceptance, and it's just like you're shedding your skin that's been built up over the year. It's just like that, and it's this is my month, this is our time to shine, really shine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're shining every day and all year, but it's a bit both for me.
Then kind of coming off of the heels of what Christian just said, I always saw kind of LGBTQ plus pride as like as a safe space for so many of us, and the fact that granted we don't have to limit confidence and pride in ourselves 1 month out of the year, but I feel like pride is a time where we can actually celebrate who we are in a more in a grander, more fun and more creative way. And I feel like in that sense, it really does inspire so many of us to kind of go out and live our best truths as much as we can. And yeah.
I remember I posted an Instagram thing when it clicked over to June of wishing everybody a happy Pride, and I just wrote three little sentences. I said, live life, love who you want, and just be free. And to me, that's it. That's it right there. That's how it should be for everyone.
Do you think as merfolk we have the opportunity to kind of champion that message in a different way?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you just see I think in the mer community in general, right? I think it's especially with the LGBTQIA queer, that's the most welcoming group that I've ever really met. So it's pretty awesome in that well.
Yeah. I feel like the mer community is similar to me in the way that the queer community I kind of feel like I came of age in that there's just certain types of acceptance that it's this is just what we believe in. And when people kind of start to say something that's just a little messed up. I was about to say an F-bomb, but I was I'm going to be nice. The community is just no, we literally, we don't do that here. This is not what we're about. And I love that. And I think that there are people who have to kind of evolve their thinking kind of quickly because they want to be a part of this community. And it's done quickly, it's done seamlessly. And it's amazing how when you don't want to get ostracized from a community you really love, you catch up in your thinking real quick. I love it. Yeah, we're symbols of self-acceptance, stewardship, and freedom. I remember doing an interview with Justine, the mermaid seamstress, during the California Mermaid Convention last year. And they were talking about a friend of theirs who just felt so much freedom in their tail as a non-binary person, because it's once you're in their tail, even though I know some people have special tails with parts built in, for the most part, when we're in a tail, we don't have genitalia. And so
yes, that tail was on display this weekend. I can confirm that.
And so I think there's even a freedom for people there.
100%. When the intersex support group that I work with, a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, we had a summer camp. Our conference was at a 4-H center. And of course, in true Colleen fashion, I had a suitcase full of tails. And I just had fun tales for everybody. So all the kids, adults, everybody had just a blast. And it was really amazing because there were some people having some really powerful emotional moments there, because, it gave them the opportunity to kind of step out of their body, but also intersex merfolk are of two worlds, right? So there was a lot of deep connection for folks, and just having this moment of just pure feeling the creative juices were flowing. They felt amazing and beautiful, and a lot of them were straight up this is the first time I felt so pretty and so free. So it was really amazing to Like, I just thought I was bringing some mermaid tales to have some fun, right? Like, it's summer, like, cool, guys, let's have some fun. And it became this whole, like, moment for so many folks. And it was just, it's pretty cool.
Okay, now, Colleen, exactly what does it mean to be intersex?
So intersex is like an umbrella term, right? So, you know, so I personally have what's called androgen sensitivity syndrome. So I have XY chromosomes, which is pretty awesome. But there's a whole spectrum. And so that's anyone who has the differences between male and female. Like, so there's, I'm getting a little tongue-tied right now. So, sorry, I got caught up in the story and now my words are all over the place. So I'm going to have a sip of water.
Have a sip of water. All right. Okay. All right. Anybody, what made you agree to be on this panel and take your Sunday evening to hang out with us? Any of you?
To go first.
I don't know. I mean, I really I guess being within the LGBT space, if you will, I really like getting to share those experiences and listening to other people's stories that are definitely a lot more different than what I've experienced as a trans person. And I just feel like it's a lot of fun. You kind of learn so much about so many people, and I really love getting to share that. Being a storyteller at heart. I love that idea of just sharing our stories and finding what connects all of us. And yeah.
You've recently written a book, yes?
Kids book, yeah.
Awesome. And do you talk about being transgender or transgender issues in your children's book?
Not usually. It's a little bit more toward like the fantasy kind of element.
Okay. Okay.
There is a few kind of nods to the transition process, including like the concept of the dead name and stuff like that.
That's awesome. I like when like people put things in children's books and it's just like, it's super straightforward. Like you put something that like adults are like, I don't get it. And you just like casually put it in a children's book and like a kid gets it like instant.
Yeah, it just clicks.
Yeah, because it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not their name anymore. Okay, cool. And like, it's like not a like whole huge thing, and it's like really simple. I honestly love the book Julian is a Mermaid, mostly because the illustrations are just like gorgeous. It's like within arm's reach of me, but I feel like if I try to grab it, it's not where I think it is, because I thought it was right under my hand, and I also thought it was right there. It's somewhere. It's like right, oh, here it is. And so like what I saw about it on Instagram, so like, but it's because like I really love the illustrations, because that looks like the lady in red. She looks like my grandma's best friend. And like the illustrations are just gorgeous, but like the book like never really gets into like anything heavy, but it's just like, no, Julian's a mermaid and it's fine. Like period. There's no like, well, that's a girl thing or that's a whatever. It's just like, it's fine, whatever. And I love when people do that with children's things, because everybody's like, we can't talk about this stuff with kids. And it's like, you just have to tell kids to love people, and you just have to teach kids to respect people. And like, that's basically all there is to it.
Speaking of keeping things simple, sorry, I've spent the whole day out by the pool. So I came home and I was a little too much sun, and did not realize how dehydrated I was. So it's been rough. So, but intersex is an umbrella term used for a person who is born with a reproductive or sexual anatomy that does not seem to fit the typical definition of male or female. There are, I believe, there's at least 20, I think 30 plus different variations. So intersex is the umbrella term to kind of refer to all of that. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to be here tonight, is because I want to leverage my persona and as a way to have fun conversations about being intersex. So thought that would be a cool thing to do.
Awesome. So what type of conversations do you want? I mean, let's have a fun conversation about being
Oh, fun. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
fun. Yeah.
On the spot.
Now that you're hydrated. I mean, yeah. Like, you've got.
I mean, honestly, I think the simplest things, like you're referring to in the book, right? It doesn't need to be this big drawn out thing. It could just be like, well, sometimes there are girls that look like girls, sometimes there are boys that look like boys, and sometimes there's in between, because there's no like you're just like your gender identity, your biological sex is a spectrum. Right, there's gonna be you can see a guy out there and they just the way that they look, their body's built differently, and there's gonna be girls that look and all over the place, right? There's a spectrum on how our physical bodies are built. So I mean, I just think keeping it super simple, and you don't even need to go into deep conversations, but there's so many times people just are like, wait, what is that? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's a thing, it's cool, this is we're here. Saying. So I mean, just simple things like that, like just the mere knowledge that intersex people exist. Like, really, there's been so many people, especially as an entrepreneur, I keep meeting people and then they see like my videos and they're like, what? That's really interesting. Now usually have pretty positive responses, thankfully. I was not gonna lie, I was super nervous the first time I did a video where I was explaining all this. I was like, oh, this could be interesting. We'll see. But so far, overall, the general response has been pretty great. So that's where I was trying to just have more fun little conversations like that. I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it yet. So putting me on the spot was super fun times. Love you.
I just wanted to throw you into the deep end, as we do. Christian, you kind of give, like heartthrob, like Fabio vibes. And I'll say, like, personally, I don't talk about like the fact that, okay, so I always like wear this like honkin' ring, but like I never like really talk about like the fact that like I've got like this husband that I adore, because like I know that there are people who like, are like madly in love with Mermaid Chè Monique, and I love that, and I don't want to like ruin their illusion. And so I very rarely talk about, my personal life, because I want to be like whatever fantasy people want to have of me. Sometimes that may change over time, but that's where I am now. And so it's just like hidden in plain sight, but also it's like a cocktail ring. It doesn't look traditionally wedding-y. So like people just like miss it and whatever. Christian, I know so many people of so many different genders and orientations who are like, oh my God, Merman Christian.
There was some of that at the summit this weekend. I'm not gonna lie.
Do you feel like, I don't know, do you share my like, I don't know, need to be like somewhat closeted so that like more people can be in love with you? Or are you very like, this is me and this is who I love and this is what I'm about? Or like,
when I first started in the business 8 years ago, I did kind of put myself in a little bit of a closet because I just wanted to reach out to as many people as I could. But that was kind of part of my game plan, to just, get this core audience of people that wanted to hear my story and follow my journey. And then that's when I was going to hit them with slowly ease them into, because I had a lot of ladies, saying like, oh my God. And, I think I even saw a meme once of like a picture of me that somebody had made a meme of. And it was from when I was on CNN, and it said, yeah, I'd do him. And it was a woman. So, I'm extremely flattered. And, but then, over the past few years, I've slowly incorporated my sexuality into some of my posts and everything. So now I'm hoping I can at least reach out to, more of the LGBT community. So that way they could see, back then people just saw me as, oh, look at this guy that's out there doing all these awesome things in, a business full of mermaids and mostly females. but here's a guy doing it, and that I wanted to be that voice then, and which, you know, I still want to be that now, but now I'm trying to broaden my audience, and especially with the LGBT community, and just say like, hey guys, you know, I'm here too, and I'm here, I stand with you hand in hand. It doesn't matter, you know, who you are. It's, you know, I love you, and I want you to love yourself. So if I can be that, you know, an image or that beacon of hope for you to stand up to your parents and feel confident in coming out to them, or, you know, if you're a masculine guy, you know, but if you happen to like the smell of women's perfume, and or you want to do a high heel race just to see what it's like, you know, go for it. Who cares? You know, be yourself. Do what makes you happy.
I love it. What was your experience like 8 years ago when there weren't so many mermen around? Like, how was that for you?
Oof. Well, I knew going in that I had to go in, like, I had a lot on, like, I actually discovered the mermaid business in 2011 when I first, just randomly on YouTube, I saw a video of Hannah Fraser swimming around in one of her sequin tails, and I was like, this is a thing. And you know, and also, you know, it helped me rediscover my love for the ocean. And then, you know, but when I saw this was a thing, but then I really did my homework, and I was like, well, there's really no, I mean, there were some mermen out there, but there were none doing what I thought could be personally achieved by a merman. Like, there was really not a big, you know, that person that you could look up to and everything. So, you know, I knew going in, I was going to have to appeal to a lot of different avenues in this business. And I knew I was going to get people that did not understand me or what I was trying to do. I mean, nowadays, since, you know, the mermaid culture has become such a big, you know, cultural thing now. I mean, it's exploded incredibly over the past decade. And now, back then, I would get, I'd be at a pool or at an event, you know, I'd see somebody walk by with their husband or boyfriend, and usually they had a beer in their hand, but they would say, you know, well, why is the guy in a tail? Or, you know, mermaids are, you know, are women and all that stuff. But now, you know, I would say, you know, my go-to phrase for dealing with that I would say, well, without mermen, you can't have mermaids. So, and then they would get a big kick out of it and laugh. And so that was kind of my way of easing them into it. And then they actually started like really wanting to know like what it's all about and all that. So, and that was back then. And now it's kind of, I get approached by, you know, same situation, but now the husbands are like, oh, that's so cool. You know, that's awesome. And they want to know all about the tail. And, you know, they ask, you know, why are you doing this? And, you know, but it's refreshing to see that we've evolved over the past decade from when I kind of had to closet myself a bit to where now I can just be free in who I want to be. And people think it's awesome and they don't question it. They want to know about it, want to know, you know, they don't question my sexuality anymore. They want to know all about the business and all about the tail. So it's been a welcomed evolution for me.
Awesome. Nymphia, you are very openly transgender, and that is part of your kind of platform as a mermaid. What made you decide to kind of, I guess, like champion transgender issues through your mermaiding?
Oh gosh. Well, I think it mostly just started from as I started getting into my Mersona and learning more about, kind of getting more immersed into this community. I actually found my my sexual identity through my gender identity through mermaiding, and it was for me, I felt like it kind of hit home because you don't normally see a lot of like trans mermaids, especially within the professional space. There's maybe like a couple here and there, but you don't really see as much as like a bigger kind of more I guess, a bit more open of a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I really felt like that was really fun. And the fact that a friend of mine who is a drag performer down in San Francisco invited me to do a open panel discussion in front of a group. And at the time that I did it, I had barely just started my transition process, so I was a little bit unsure about like what was the right thing to say and how do I talk about this and how do I like kind of talk a little bit more about these issues without really having gone through them. Now that I've been officially, and I'm now almost 2 years on hormones, and now that I've kind of grown into myself and in my body and in my sort of headspace as well, I really feel like for me, I can definitely share that with people and be more open and communicative about like what the process was like, how I was able to find myself through a passion that I really loved, and just bringing that to the table and just sharing as much of it, the experience of it as I can, just to be that sort of inspiration for anybody who might be going through the same process.
That's awesome. My general question for everybody, because this is like a Mer panel, does anybody have like a specific moment when like the fact that you are queer was just like, Colleen, I guess you shared your like moment at your intersex convention where it was just like, you know, you brought your tales to this space and it just added a different element. But like any specific moments where like being, you know, queer was just like a kind of specifically magical moment, you know, not just like, oh, it's cool because I'm a Merson or whatever, but like this was like extra awesome because I'm trans, because I'm gay, because I'm bi, because I'm intersex.
Now, is this specifically linked to mermaiding, or is this just...
Yeah, unless you have like a powerful story you just generally want to share, but mostly related to mermaiding. But if you have like something that you just feel like we need to know, well, listen, we like stories.
Story time. Story time.
Gather round, children.
All right, I'll go first. I'll break the ice. Okay. I want to say, I guess this touches on what I was saying earlier about just, you know, being able to give people that hope or that confidence. I remember I got an email one time from somebody in Australia, and it was a 15-year-old guy. And he had mentioned to me that he had seen me, I believe it was on ABC, when I was on ABC, or it was one of those. But he mentioned to me that he had seen me on there and just saw, you know, that, you know, I had a lot of makeup on at the time during that. And then he went and looked at all of my other previous things that I had done. And he told me that I gave him confidence to get his first tail, and he said that he was overweight, but I made him not be afraid of his own skin because he was really passionate about it and really passionate about the ocean, and he wanted to be a merman really bad, but he was afraid that his parents would judge him. And and from him seeing just that one moment that I had done, he had went to his parents and basically came out, not only that he wanted to be a merman, but that he also was gay. And he was so terrified, but I just seeing me in that moment gave him the confidence to at least take a chance on it and just to see what their reaction was going to be. And I mean, it nearly brought me to tears, that the fact that I touched someone's life like that all the way across the ocean on the other side of the world. And thankfully it went really great for him. His parents understood, you know, with everything. And he ended up getting a tail, and definitely a hell of a lot of confidence. So wow. You go, Glen Coco.
That's awesome.
So that was my favorite moment ever. And I've mentioned this before in previous chats or interviews I've been a part of. So yeah, it still stands as my number one.
I almost want to start like chanting, "One of us, one of us."
Any other magical moments?
I mean, as far as I always feel like for me, my biggest one is interacting with kids, because I'm one of the things that I'm really happy about, that when I'm in the whole ensemble, the kids don't see like they see this like really beautiful mermaid, and it's like for them they don't I haven't really gotten that sort of point where they start asking if I'm like male or female, but it's every single time I've interacted with a child, whether it be at an event or at just a practice swim, I've always just been met with a lot of positivity, and seeing like the way that they like their faces light up, even the way that their faces light up, and the way that I get to interact with them and kind of talk a little bit more about like myself, and talking a little bit and like introducing them to what the mermaiding can be about. It's it really just makes me so happy, and I always love at the end of the meeting after we're done swimming, I always get like the biggest hugs from a lot of the kids. But one that I had, I think it was fairly recent, was I got a one of the mermaids down in the Netherlands actually reached out to me, and she's a trans mermaid as well, and she told me like, hey, so I just wanted to let you know that like you have the most beautifully feminine voice I have ever heard, and as a trans person. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And yeah, my voice is just something I've always been really confident in, and I feel like in that moment it just made me kind of bubble over, because it was just something that I felt really proud of in terms of my like transition and such. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think overall, like when I started Metro Merfolk, I mean, I even named the group we've got there Mermaids, Mermen, and Other Aquatics, right? Like so, and the whole like the logo and everything was all rainbows from day one. So like my identity was already like infused into what I was doing like from the break, right? So it was like it was funny, because I was talking to someone who was at some point was helping me with some branding, and they're like, well, you know, the rainbow is not really necessity, right? Like they don't really get that until they're in the mermaid community. I'm like, you wildly don't even understand. Okay. Well, everyone but you got the memo. So clearly not the right branding person for me. So I was like, thanks. So it's been awesome, because I don't have a particular moment just offhand, but I mean, Shay, you've been to the meetups, right? Like you can just see like the magic when we were having them on a regular basis. Like so many people come out and just have that moment of like, oh my gosh, like I can, you know, whatever else is going on in my life, it doesn't matter, because I'm having this magical moment right here, right now. And it's definitely inspiring me for sure.
That's cool. I'm gonna say like my best like gay mer moment. I didn't even realize that I was like queer at this particular time, but my first time I was publicly a mermaid was at a pride parade. And so I just love
like you do, so like you do.
Favorite. Like, yeah. And so it's like, and this was like a decade ago. Okay, it was 9 years ago, because I finally got the Facebook memory. Or I said 12 years ago. It was 2000. It's in my phone. I just got the Facebook memory. It was 12 years ago. It was 2009. And I was like, I made like a walking tale, but it was definitely at the Pride Parade. And it was such a magical moment. It was just so much fun. I mean, anytime I'm in the Pride Parade, like I feel like I am the literal queen of the world. Like I don't care that there's like, you know, some massive float sponsored by like Wells Fargo with like 50 drag queens and speakers. And it's just like me with like the DC Girly Show and like the DC Kings. And we're just walking down the street, like not really a lot of whatever, but like I just decide like, you guys didn't come for like all this stuff. You clearly all are standing in this 100-degree heat. For me, I love it. It's like always so much fun, so much fun, so much fun, so exhausting. But like, I guess I feel like a weird responsibility during the Pride Parade. Like if you're in a parade, because it's like all these people are like shoulder to shoulder. They're like fighting for like beads that won't matter in 48 hours, but right now are the most valuable thing ever. You know, they've been like dealing with like the DuPont Circle Metro in DC. They somehow the escalator does not work during Pride. It never does. And it's the steepest thing. So it's like they basically like walked up 5 flights of stairs in 100-degree heat. And then there's really, really thick crowd. And it's like, I can't just like princess wave. Like you gotta like give them something. It's like, no, like if they're going to suffer, I'm going to give them everything I have. And I do. And the first time I got to do that as a mermaid was in fact during Pride. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to flip the script. Do you all have any questions for each other? And then next I'm going to ask if we have any audience questions. So you guys can bring those in. We've gotten a couple in, but yeah. Do you guys have any questions for each other or me? Because I'm here.
I was saying, Nymphia, I want to connect with you because there is a whole lot of there is the trans and intersex like Venn diagram, and I think that would be pretty rad to like have some like convos and whatnot and do that. That would be cool.
Yeah, and I'm totally down.
Making connections.
Yeah.
Also, like, this isn't really like a question per se, but when I think kind of backtracking when we were talking about like people having a crush on Christian, I just want
I think everybody at some point had a crush on Christian. Like, I mean, just look at but Christian, you do such an amazing job, like with your tail, your look, your makeup. It is amazing. I don't care who you are, just like the amount of effort you put into it, like it's so well done. So well done.
Yeah. I had one of the mermen in the business came up here a few years ago and we went out to lunch and he had never had Maryland crabs before. And I said, "Oh, boo, I got you." So we went to this dockside place in Annapolis and, we had some tea time, we boiled a pot. And he said to me, he's like, "Christian, I'm going to be really honest with you about something. A lot of mermen in the business are afraid of you." And I'm like, "What? Wait, what? What does that even mean?" He's like, "You just said that." This is going with what you said, Colleen. Since you said that, he's like, "You've set the standard so high, the bar so high for being a professional merman in this business. Like some of the mermen, the newer mermen they find you terrifying and intimidating."
I believe it.
And I was just like, damn. So that was an awkward but interesting comment. I had never had that before. And then that's when I don't know, it's when I kind of knew that, like, wow, I mean, I guess I'm doing something right if people are scared of me. I mean, they probably aren't anymore, but no, I'm just a regular guy. I mean, I love to laugh. Obviously, I've been laughing a ton during all this, and feel free to pick my brain, ask me anything. So that's what I've been telling a lot of the newer MERS getting into the business when I was doing a lot of my live feeds before my previous Instagram was hacked. But that's another story. And yeah. I'm an open book. You can ask me anything about being in this business. So I try to stay as humble as possible, and I think that's what keeps me, grounded.
Awesome. This is a perfect segue. Justine just asked basically the question I was about to ask. And Justine asked, being the celebrities you are in the mermaid community, how do you open conversations or make yourself approachable?
Oh dear.
All right, I'll start and then we'll go counterclockwise. So it'll go me, Nymphia, Christian, Colleen. For me, it's weird. I try to have like the benefit of having like Mermaid Chè Monique, and like I'm working on evolving Mermaid Chè Monique kind of as this like super diva character who is a little like untouchable and whatever. But then I have the Society of Fat Mermaids, and if you like come hang out with the Society of Fat Mermaids, we're like all about like accessibility and community and whatever. And so like my like kind of like, it's like I kind of feel like there's like a back door to me, because it's like, just approach me over there and I'm like ready to be your big sister, you know? And so I feel like that's helpful. And then I think also for me, I try to like draw a distinction between like, this is my public page. Like if you ask me on my public page, like, where did you get your tail? I'm going to be like, I grew it, duh. But like, if you know, catch me in like a mermaid group and you're like, hey, what do you think about this brand of tail? Like, I'll give you my opinion. And so like, I try to be like down to earth, with the community while still trying to like maintain like whatever my like minor celebrity image is outside of the community, even though there's like an overlap between like who's watching your fan page. But like if we're like in a group that's mostly merfolk, we're going to have this conversation, and you get rare moments like this where like this is existing on my fan page, and so you get like a little behind the curtain peek. That's how I do it. Nymphia?
Oh gosh. I mean, as far as like being like a mermaid, I've like, first of all, to Justine, like that's a really big compliment. I've never really considered myself as much of a celebrity in the mermaid community, but it's really humbling. And I don't know, like for me, Merman Tommy often calls me the Disney mermaid, because that's kind of how I present as Nymphia's. She's like this sort of bubbly kind of Disney princess who kind of prances around and sings everything. And I always feel like that's a lot more fun, because I like looking into the for the characterization. I actually studied a lot of the face characters at Disneyland to kind of get this sort of kind of very princessy, very regal kind of aesthetic, but still be very cheerful and very bubbly and very open to talking with people. And outside, like once the makeup and the hair and the tail comes off, I pretty much try to retain that. I can be very shy sometimes, but I get me in a time where I can like, where I'm like in a good conversation, I will literally talk people's ear off. It's really embarrassing. But as far as like being as for me being approachable, I just try to be as welcoming as I can, like giving, because after all, we are a community, and as a community, we do want to bring in more people and kind of make it a really big kind of accepting place. And that's really what I try to do whenever I meet new people. Like if someone tries to ask me for tail advice, or if someone tries to ask me for costuming advice, which I get a lot of, and even just like,
because you're awesome at it.
Wait, what?
I said because you're awesome at it.
Thank you. And but yeah, even just little things like that, like just sharing advice with somebody and just doing what you can. I'm a huge open book, so I'm pretty open to any and every question imaginable. So I think as long as you have that open communication to really be transparent and to really be willing to share your knowledge with somebody who might be wanting to pursue it in a very similar route, is pretty amazing, and you can really build a connection off of that.
Awesome. Christian?
Love it. Well, I live oh brother. I've been kind of the opposite in a way with my mersona, I guess we could say. I mean, when it comes time to do an event or go to a convention or conduct myself during an interview, I try to say, first of all, I try to make sure I make sense in what I'm saying, because one of my big shining moments, they asked me what is a professional merman, and my response was a giver of dreams.
I like it.
Like looking back on that, I'm just like, oh, God, you blew it, Chief. You blew it. Like you've been in the entertainment business for 20 years. Like that's the best you got. But anyway, so aside from those moments, I've kind of remained elusive in the business, as somebody put it, kind of brought it up to me for a while, one time, that like, oh, Christian, you have a lot of people that look up to you and everything, but you never really, other than posting, your work online, you never interact with anybody. Like, you don't ever comment on anything in any of the groups. You never, that sort of thing. And, I really didn't really sit back and think about it until they actually said that. And then I was like, wow, I guess I am. But I guess in a way, it was kind of my way of protecting myself. Because when I in my early days in the business, I actually acquired a stalker, which we love to call, we all know the term mervert, but it got to a point of like really creepy point, and I don't know, I wanted to kind of put myself in a little bit of a bubble unless it pertained to my work. So, but then last year, thanks quarantine, was kind of my awakening moment. I was like, okay, well, I guess this person was right. I never really do interact with everybody online. And I mean, ask me to do a TikTok video. Yeah, I'm an old man. It's just, that's not my thing. I have one, but it's just, yeah, I need some help in that department. But that's when I started doing my live feeds. It started off reading children's books, and then it evolved into Finfolk Fridays with Merman Christian, and everybody really liked it. And then that kind of, I had more people come up to me or message me once after I'd been doing them for a while and say, it's so nice to like see your personality shine through now. And, you're outgoing, definitely outspoken, you're funny, you can laugh at yourself, and we're laughing with you. And I'm thankful that I kind of got over that fear and stepped outside of that zone. So when I met people this weekend that they knew me, but unfortunately I didn't know them just by how that goes. So, and I just walked up to them, and I've been observing everybody throughout the day. And later on in the evening, when we were having a bonfire on the beach, yes, that was a thing. And it was awesome. We even had a drum circle going, and I was on one of those drums. And, but I would say to them, I'd say, I just think, hi, I'm Christian. I think you're awesome. Or hi, I'm Christian. I just love your whole aura you are giving off. And that's kind of how I introduce myself to people. I don't say like, oh, I'm the Merman Christian or anything like that. I'm just like, hi, I'm Christian. It's nice to meet you. So that's my flow of wave I'm doing right now.
Awesome. Well, my persona has gone through some changes over the years, right? I started with Metro Merfolk, trying to just have a pool to go swim in. Then we had Mermagicon, but then I found my strength with having the mermaid, the Fin Fitness, and actually teaching people how to do that. And that's really where I found that I shined the best, and really made it easy for people to connect with me, because we were in the water talking, and really guiding them through things. And it was really amazing to be able to make these like solid relationships with people and have these one-on-one experiences, or one-on-many, depending upon the class. But I think that's really, between the classes and being able to like be in the water and play with people at meetups, definitely allowed a lot more communication.
Awesome. You guys all like hit on different like things for me. Christian, I was laughing so loud when you said, a giver of dreams, but it's because I think yesterday I made a post, and it's like, you got the picture and it's all lined up. And like, I think in the beginning I was like, okay, I'm going to quote all of my like mermaid pictures are going to have quotes from like Black poets, and like that's really great. And I have an intern now, I think she's on, and maybe she can like help randomly pull quotes from Black poets to like put with my pictures. But like, you're like, oh, my feed is dry, I need to post something, and you got the picture ready, and it's like, oh, I'm supposed to say something poignant. My most recent Facebook post as Mermaid Chè Monique says like, I literally, and I apologize to anybody, and if this resonated to you, let me know what you actually got out of it, but I was very consciously being fake deep. Okay, like there was like a picture and like I'm kind of like looking behind me and I'm reaching up and I'm like, you know, the past is behind us and, you know, something is yet ahead of us, but all we can do is be here now. Now, be here now is like, I live by that. Like, I mean, that's just, I mean, literally all we ever can do is be here now. So like be here now is something I believe in. But as I was writing it, I was like, this is some real fake deep BS. Ma'am, but I just needed the picture to get posted, you know. And so when you were like, "I'm a giver of dreams," like that felt like the same kind of like fake deep, like, you know, like sometimes we're poignant and sometimes it's like you just gotta have an answer. And Nymphia, I am also quite shy, and that is challenging, especially when you're shy and public facing because you look stuck up, and so. And that's like a thing that's been with me for like, it started coming up in college and so it's something I have to like when I go to conventions, I'm very consciously go say hi to people. Like I have to give myself like that pep talk. And so, and it works. And like, once I, you know, turn on, I can be on, but like, if otherwise I'm chilling in a corner. If I don't give myself, okay, you're going to go say hi to people, you're going to whatever. And like being a semi celebrity makes it like a little weird because now like a lot of people just come up to me and so I don't have to, but then there's like people who still don't, and it's like all these like weird different things, but like naturally I'm like hidden in a corner just observing. Okay, we've got a couple comments and questions.
And yeah, and I was gonna say, and it's for me, it's a little different, right? Because I came into mermaiding vis-a-vis the cosplay world, right? So, and that's like the vibe I get from it more. Whereas, you know, someone who's doing more of a performance merfolk situation, it's a totally different scenario, right? Like there's that whole like actually creating this persona and putting on this performance for folks. Whereas I'm gonna go put on a monofin and a tail and have a little fun in the water real quick. So do you guys want to go do that? Does that sound like fun? Cool. Awesome. Meanwhile, I'm like still wearing my different like scale leggings the whole time. I'm like, yeah, let's just go do this. Let's go do this fun, weird thing.
All right. I'm diving into our audience a little bit. Nymphia Alaray says that you are flipping gorgeous and have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
Christian, when we were talking about how everybody is in love with you and has a crush on you, Grace said everyone in all caps.
I'm blushing, but I'm sunburned, so you can't see it. I swear.
Finn also wants to connect with you, Nymphia. And Finn says, on the subject of Christian, I didn't have a crush on Christian, but I did fangirl pretty hard, especially at my first convention. You gave me and my roommate a ride to the center, and I about died. Best part was I had dragged my roomie along, and she had no idea who you were, and I was high-key freaking out. So I just felt compelled to like share that. And Justine, okay, Alaray is like me with the anxiety a little bit. Sometimes I have to fight myself out of the habit of being the mute mermaid in the corner because of my social anxiety. Totally get that. And like when you want to hide in the corner and everybody's like, it's Chè Monique, it is like kind of a weird thing. Justine wants to know, and it's we talked about this a bit in our last answers, but how much different do you feel like your persona is from your IRL personality? Ooh, that's a good question. Who wants to
yeah, no. 100 the same. 100 with my weirdo flag flying, folks. 100%.
I feel like me and I think Nymphia and I are kind of like more synonymous now, because it's just like a lot of her like mannerisms are very much kind of my own personal sort of personality, if you will. So I kind of feel like we're both kind of meshed together, because sometimes even when I'm like out and about at like my day-to-day job, I'll just go like, hello, it's very nice to meet you. And it's just like a lot of people will tend to get a kick out of it, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're an IRL Disney princess. I'm like, didn't intend to be that way, but all right, we'll make it work.
Christian?
You know, I'm gonna say like there's no really divide between myself and my persona. I mean, I just incorporate a lot of who I am and who I've grown to be into my persona. Like, the whole community knows me since day one. I have always been the tropical merman. I'm obsessed with tropical colors. I'm obsessed with the tropics and the Bahamas and coral reefs, even though I live on the Chesapeake Bay. So, you know, and that's just me. You know, I'm very outgoing. I'm very outspoken. I love meeting new people. I'm the kind of person where I can make friends with anywhere I go. But I also, you know, am going to be myself, and, you know, but in a respectful manner, you know, and I just basically, it's like, well, I always say, I hope people like me. But I'd say, you know, with my persona, you know, it's a little bit more of a extension and more of a more bedazzled extension of me in real life. So, yeah.
Similarly, I think Mermaid Chè Monique is basically all the best parts of me turned way up, coupled with like things like I aspire to be. Like, I think she's sexier than I am in real life. Like, I tried to send my husband a sexy selfie earlier, and it's like, okay, like, yeah, it'll be sexy to him because he loves me or whatever. But like, I feel awkward. And it's funny because, like, you know, like, I'm always taking these like pin-up mermaid pictures and I'm like dancing sensuously underwater. And then I'm like, I'm struggling to like send this person I'm like literally married to like a cute selfie. I'm like, I'm so awkward. I don't know my angles. And so I think she's just like a better version of me. She, you know, I'm always advocating for like self-care and wellness, but like, what if I told you I made that video at 4 a.m.? Like, there's a little contradiction there, you know? So I do think she's like my idealized version of myself. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a combination of Jessica Rabbit, Whitley Gilbert, and Miss Piggy. And I think that Mermaid Chè Monique kind of has done that. And the actual Chè Monique, you know, aspires to that still, but is also, you know, the Mermaid Chè Monique says be gentle with yourself. So I try to listen to her and, you know, practice love and gentleness and whatnot. But yeah, I just think she's like a better and somewhat idealized version of me. Finn wants to know what we think of how the transition was portrayed on Siren. Do you all watch Siren?
That was interesting.
Yeah.
It was definitely a little more. It was a little more violent than I had anticipated. But I mean, it makes sense, right? If you're going from bipedal humanoid into a merfolk, and those merfolk that they had, those were fierce. Those were like,
yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and just rip your spine out and have it for lunch real quick. I'm not like we're on the cop, human on the cop. It'll be great.
I remember watching the transition moments and everything when I was first introduced to the show, and I just remember sitting there in my living room, and it started, and I was like, oh, okay, they're going for it. Oh, damn. So that was my reaction to it. I was like it wasn't like the wilting of Daryl Hannah and Splash in the bathtub. It was just like it was violent. It was vicious. And I would say that if it was real, that probably would be something like that.
I will say it wasn't clear why about her transitioning in the ocean versus just water, like in Splash, but I that would be awful. Could you imagine like she's just walking in the rain and then just like that screeching and bones breaking? Like, oh my gosh.
The saltwater aspect of it was I remember in season 1 when she went to that party and she is like down in them red Solo cups, like it is nothing. and then somebody pushes her in the pool like right as like the cops show up to, you know, break up the party, and as soon as she went in that pool, I was like, you know, oh my God, it's going to happen. But then there was that little twist there, like, oh, it has to be saltwater.
Right. I think Finn is asking about like in the last season, I think there's like a mer pod up in like Alaska or someplace.
And
they
cool.
Okay, yeah.
That was so cool.
That
I was like, I don't know who came up with this storyline, but this is amazing. It was so rad to see such just like a unique take on everything. And I'm like, well, that tracks. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And I don't completely remember the storyline. So first, if you're planning on watching watching the show, hardcore spoiler alert. And then somebody, can you please explain the transition that we're talking about with the northern cold merpod, how that worked? Colleen, you seem jazzed about it, so dive in.
Okay, sure. So you guys like help me out. I'm sometimes, you know, ADHD takes me on a wild goose chase. So rein me in if you need to. So long story short, the waters were getting polluted, and so they had these like magical pools where the pod, I forget, were they all men or were they all women? And they just
they were all women.
They're all women.
Yeah.
Right. And so they weren't able to reproduce because what they would have to do is have someone go sit under, I think, like the full moon or whatnot, in this special pool of water. And then they would transition into a merman and then be able to procreate and continue on the line. But because of the pollution that was going on, it was no longer able to happen. Yeah, it was like so many different hot topics. Just like, let's just put this on a dish together and serve it up all at the same time. I was like, but it was done so well, right? Like you didn't feel like you were just getting like, you know, browbeaten with like things going on in the world. No, but it was so great. It was like just a beautiful story and just like, yes.
That was really cool. One of my favorite things about Siren was as like the merfolk were like interfacing more with humans. Sorry, my human just walked in the door. That like they had really good conversations around consent in a like really natural way. And that was like the first time I'd ever really seen that in TV. It's completely like semi off topic, but just like a thing I really, really dug, that there were multiple and good conversations just around consent. And I was like, oh, this is how you just like work this into a TV show. Now, of course, it helped that like contextually the people you were having this conversation with are like foreign to how humans mate and interact. And so it's like, you have to ask this, you have to do that. But like, that was just the thing that like made my heart so happy.
Like Sirens in general just had so much inclusion just across the board. And it was so exciting to see that happening, especially for, you know, a show about merfolk. Like that's just like, please and thank you. But I'm hoping that it inspires other shows to do the same, because it was really awesome to see, oh, look, this is actual real life.
I kind of want to see like a side story of just that pod and like have it be its own and have it be its own story.
They were definitely the coolest pod. Like when they finally got up there, and you know, you just see they have that whole icy look to them, and you know, almost like you couldn't turn away. Like you just dying to see like what are they gonna do? Like what's gonna be their niche up there. So I agree. I would love to see that.
That was super cool. All right. Audience, I'm calling for final questions. Panelists, is there anything you think that the Mer community could do better in regards to LGBTQIA+ issues? Or do you think we're rocking it out of the park? Yeah.
I mean, I think in general, folks are aware that they're into a uniquely niche activity, and I mean, they're already walking in like, hey, what is this? And they just basically get a giant rainbow hug hello from the entire community. So I think the community's doing pretty groovy stuff.
Agreed.
I third the notion.
All right. Well, I'm a fourth. I think we're doing awesome. Yeah, it was like weird having a panel because it's like I just want to talk about how awesome we are. Like it's not like you know, like a let's call in and like figure out like how we're gonna like radically change this community. I think the fact that like I can casually have like a panel like this, you know, speaks to our community. Yeah, and that like, I feel like proportionately there are more like rainbow merfolk that I know in some capacity. I see people coming out, and I think it's also where we are like in time too. Just I constantly see people coming out and exploring gender identity and different things, and I think it's awesome. All right, we've got a comment from Hannah.
And if anyone, I was going to say, if anyone is actually curious to learn more about what intersex is, if you go to interconnect.support. So that's like, right, inter, and we're connecting people. Yay, puns. So interconnect.support, we are having a virtual conference July 16, 17, and 18, and we will have a intersex 101 that is open to the public, as well as a medical AMA. So if you have questions you want to ask, you can actually ask them in an appropriate setting. So it'll be it's pretty rad because there's just so much cool stuff, and you can also meet some really cool people. Just saying.
All right. Hannah says, Shay, I so connect with the statement about how your persona portrays the person that you aspire to be. Thank you for sharing. This might have been touched on, but how did you all find mermaiding? Ooh, this is a wonderful question. Or what inspired you to start? Did being a LGBTQIA plus identifying person have any influence in getting you into this hobby? That's an awesome question. I'm gonna go. Colleen, you were complaining earlier because the camera's backwards, and I just wanted to point at Christian, and it pointed at Nymphia. So I guess that's where we're going because the camera's backwards. All right, so we're gonna go Nymphia, Colleen. I can't point, and then Christian. That's great.
Repeat the question one more time.
Okay.
How did you get into mermaiding?
How did you get into mermaiding? And did being LGBTQIA plus influence you getting into mermaiding?
Oh, right. Well, I think I kind of came off the on a similar path as Colleen did, because I actually found mermaiding through cosplay, and it wasn't until I think Merman Blix was actually the first merman that I knew, and that I met through as I was building this tale together. And when I was in college, we were talking about the idea of like, oh, like you should totally do more like you should totally be like a professional mermaid. I think it's really cool. I think you'd make it really cool and make it really fun. And at the time that I the idea, I hadn't even thought about like transitioning. So it was like I knew I did like a little bit of like with the cosplay. I often did a lot of crossplay, so like male to female cosplay, and from there I think it just kind of grew as an extension of myself. And I feel like having done it so much through cosplay and just kind of growing into the like, and it really just taught me to do so much more. Like my makeup skills got better, and then like the wig skills got better, and then just making the whole kind of appearance come together. It was really what solidified it. That like, you know what, I think I'm doing the right thing right now, and I really feel like this is something that could lead to the start of something magical. And here I am now.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like I love meeting other cosplay nerds. Like that's so fun. Like I didn't even know mermaiding existed until like 4 or 5 years ago, right? I was at Dragon Con, literally cosplaying Ursula with an Ariel friend and a Aquaman's girl, the ginger. What's her name?
Meryl.
Oh, my nerd card. Just lost my nerd card. Darn it. But yes, so we're down there at the Sheraton Atlanta. At a pool party, and all of a sudden I see people swimming in the pool and mermaid tails, and I just lost my mind. I absolutely lost my mind. It didn't help that it was also like 11:30 at night at a cosplay convention. But I like went home and I just felt like, I'm like, oh my god, this is a thing. I need to do this. And yeah, I would say definitely. I guess being intersex, I've always, like even before I really understood what that was or even knew what that term was, I always felt, for lack of a better term, other. So it definitely gave me an opportunity to kind of embrace feeling different and extra fabulous and beautiful all at the same time. And it also was able to like do this whole fitness aspect of it, which was really rad, which got me into free diving. But yeah, I mean, I definitely, that's why a lot of my tails have all been very, very, very rainbowy. And the next tail I'm working on is going yellow purple theme, so it'll be fun. But yeah, I would definitely say it had an influence.
Christian.
It's me. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I kind of said it earlier. What my first introduction to the business was literally seeing that video of Hannah Fraser on YouTube swimming in that tail, and then that's when I discovered like Mer Network and all that, and I was just so blown away by, I was like, wow, like, because as a kid growing up, I was obsessed with the ocean. I mean, I was 5 years old when The Little Mermaid came out in 1989. Shows you my age, but I don't care. Be yourself, right? And I remember my parents taking me to see it. I sort of remember it. I do remember I did lose my favorite toy in the theater. That I do remember. But I just remember seeing, like, the Ariel dolls, coming out then. And I remember I wanted one, but my dad didn't want me to have one. But so yeah, ocean's always been my thing. I would get flippers every summer, and I would wear them out like a pair of shoes in the pool. So I had to get a new pair every year. But yeah, once I discovered the mermaid community, and I just saw that, I was like, wow, there's a whole community of people that love doing this, and there's many different levels of it too. So, and I've always considered, I consider myself a mostly masculine male, but I do have my feminine moments, and I, in a way, kind of did help me have the confidence to explore those moments a little bit more, and and not be afraid to maybe put a sparkle near my eye at an event or something, or I mean, well, on ABC I had like 5,000 pounds of makeup on, but but it's definitely helped me really come into my own shell and really give me that boost of confidence that just don't be afraid. Be you. You are blessed with this life, and yeah, live it to your fullest. That's how I see it now. So yeah, it's definitely helped.
Growing up, like in elementary school, I hope it's different now, but like when I was in elementary school, there was like the girls' table, the boys' table at lunch, and then like around 4th grade, like a couple girls start going over to the boys' table, and like by like 6th grade, like everybody's like mixed, except like I feel like I was like the last girl at the girls' table. Like, boys are stinky. And so like my confession, like, I mean, I love the gender diversity in mermaiding, but I do also appreciate like the sapphic nature of like mer lore, like this idea that there's a world where it's like 80% girls just swimming around living their best life, like does appeal to the part of me that did not realize that she was queer until very recently, despite the fact that she was the last girl at the girls' table. So I'm also one of those people. I'm one of those like, how did I not see this? Huh. And I'm still like, I don't know. I will continue to evolve in like my understanding of my own sexuality. But mermaiding, similarly, I was a youngling when The Little Mermaid came out, and it was a very influential movie for my life. It was one of my favorite things until at some point I was like, how come Ariel gave up the best part of herself for, once again, a stupid boy? Like, I didn't get it. So like, again, like still missed it about myself. And I always like, that was like my dream since I was a little kid. What brought me into mermaiding as an adult was that Pride Parade experience. And the theme for the parade was, what's your fantasy? And I'll tell people, like, I'm about to sneeze, I'm sorry. That usually like when it's Pride Parade theme, it's like superheroes or like something that like does not resonate to me at all. But when the theme was like, what is your fantasy? Like, I didn't even have to think about it. It was like mermaid. But again, that was like 12 years ago. That was like very early in mer world. And so due to a variety of accessibility reasons that I'm not going to bore you all with, or not bore you all, but like go down rabbit holes of, I put that on the back burner. And it was really Society of Fat Mermaids that brought me into mermaiding. Currently, like this iteration of that. And honestly, like I thought I was going to sell cool mermaid t-shirts with chunky girls like this one. And I thought I would mermaid casually, just because I didn't want to sell like mer swag without being a part of the community. But I thought it was going to be really casual. And I had this one photo that went viral, and it was taken by Yarouge Photography. And like I've kind of talked about like earlier in this about like bisexual invisibility and like all that stuff, but like they are a queer photographer, and it is important to them that like most of their subjects are queer. And so whereas like I might not like go like rainbow flag, rainbow flag, rainbow flag, hey guys, I'm bi, which is like a thing, right? Like I feel like you either have like the bi like femmes who like you have no clue, or you have like the bi femmes who are like, I know that I'm with this man right now, but did you know I'm gay too? And I'm kind of like quiet type until I feel like it's, you know, worth noting for whatever reason. But you have this queer photographer who took this picture of me, and they post it, and, you know, they caption it, and the response that people had to this photo made me realize, laughing at Finn's comment, made me realize, what type of different types of representation I bring to people, as, you know, a 300-pound, you know, Black queer person who is, you know, old enough to remember going to the Little Mermaid at the theater as well. I didn't go at the theater. My parents did not ever take us to the theater unless it was the dollar theater. But, you know, of a certain age, you know, behind this crown, I've got a ton of gray hair, you know, and I just exist in a bunch of different intersections that people are told are like ugly and less than for a variety of reasons. And people had an emotional response to that photo. And that made me go, oh, this isn't just like, I want to be a mermaid because this is fun. Like I can kind of like, in my own little way, change people's, like, I'm going to say micro worlds just by daring to take up space as someone who is like worthy of being celebrated. And so that's what kind of really got me into mermaiding. And like one of my personal missions is like just freeing people, you know. And generally when you ask people about anything that they're uncomfortable with, that they like secretly want to do, it's like, I shouldn't. And it's like, who says? And like, it almost doesn't matter what the context is, you know, but like, it's that should. And I want to free people from the should and like allow people to see like how fabulous they are. And, you know, if you can celebrate my 300-pound fat queer butt, you can celebrate yours too, you know. And I had an experience recently where I got to see, you know, we're like in Zoom life, so you get to see people's homes. And I saw someone who, they have like all this like pinup burlesque art in their home, and my background is in burlesque. And they were a woman of size, but all the pinup art they had was like, you know, kind of petite, you know, slim, traditional bodies. And I realized that that was like part of why they gravitate to what I do, because like I'm, you know, even though like that was like a white woman, but it was a white woman of size. And it's like, you know, she got to see like when I do burlesque, that's more of a body like hers, you know? And so I don't know. That's a long, rambly answer about how I like to dress up and pretend I'm the queen of the world. But I do think that there's a bigger picture where when I dress up and pretend I'm the queen of the world, that it lets other people see themselves as such. So now I'm emotional and I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. And honestly, like I just thought I'm out here having fun, posting pictures of cosplay and mermaid shenanigans, and then I would have people like message me with like, wow, you like really inspired me, made me feel so much more comfortable. And I was like, oh, well, awesome. That's really amazing. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's what I do. Oh, what I do. Oh, man, I'm an adult. What?
All right. Cool. That is all the questions I have for you guys. Our audience has been amazing. Thank you guys. You guys have been like small but mighty, and I've really enjoyed that you've been part of the conversation. Do you guys have any final thoughts?
This was a lot of fun. Thank you for coordinating this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for hanging out with me.
Anytime. No, I thought this was a wonderful just experience, and this is something that I really haven't really touched upon in 8 years of doing what I do. So yeah, so thank you for bringing this to me, bringing this moment to me.
Well, thank you all. Okay, everybody, happy Pride, y'all. I'm gonna sign off. Audience, you've been delightful. I'm gonna put this replay on YouTube. And yeah, happy Pride, y'all. I'm hitting
Happy Pride fishing.
Live your best lives.